Okay, Amanda, so looking at your essay, the first thing to point out is that this is a really nice, strong start here. The most important reason for the landslide victory by the Liberals is no doubt the highlighted failures of the Conservatives. So that's a really good, strong start. Just be careful, there's a little spelling mistake for you to fix there. But overall, you've highlighted straight away in your first paragraph what your line of argument's going to be. One thing you could do in your first paragraph here is just to make sure that you're also saying what the rest of your line of argument is going to be, just so that you're giving the examiner some idea that you know exactly what you're going to say for the rest of your essay. And it might have been nice for you to have included some sort of plan at the top of your essay as well, so that if you don't get time to finish, the examiner can clearly see what you were going to argue. So the Boer War being at the top of the list as it embarrassed Britain to everyone else, a country that was looked up upon failing to quickly defeat farmers that were not properly equipped. The Boer War took longer than expected, proving Britain to be weak, meaning the government, the Conservatives, were not. So just be careful. We've got another little spelling error here. All the Conservatives were not doing such a great job. People willing to fight were so just be careful there, malnourished and physical, looked unable to fight. This people came from the ignored lower classes, people sweeping and barely getting through life, and population of them were shocking, so just be careful there. This made Britain assess their political leaders and people running the country. So good point there. You just need to be careful of a few sort of little grammatical errors, and also make sure you really clearly explain why that is a Conservative failure, because the Boer War could also be argued to be an outside factor, not particularly caused by the Conservatives, so just make sure you've really clearly linked that there. The Boer War was the seed in the sand as many more things started to unravel, causing questioning. The health of Britain was poor. People were too, so you want T-double-O there please, were too focused on the wealthy until it was time to fight people were, so again just be careful there, struggling and were seeing the war as a way out. It even got to a point where there were Chinese slavery, so probably want to say was there. Chinese slavery was, just capital letter there, taking people from China to work at the war for long hours with very little pay, and also living in scrumped up places, so probably just change that phrasing. This scared Britain into thinking if such a thing was going on, businesses would think to do the same and decrease the chances of people getting jobs, supporting their barely able families. So probably here you're just lacking a little bit of explanation here to link back to the question. So if I write link here, when you make your improvements, could you just add a bit of a stronger link back to the question at the end of that paragraph, please? The 1902 Education Act was another mistake the Conservatives made. Chamberlain, so probably just fix that punctuation there. Probably want a little, just there. You probably want just a little comma there. The local rate to be the finances paying for schools rather than churches. This angered the nonconformists, bring their vote to the Liberals. Now they were also paying for other religions' schools. They did not agree with some people. It was good. So again, you just want another link back to the question there, please. Tariff reform was to make living harder as prices were going up, but pay was staying the same, meaning blah blah blah. Okay, good. This is a good point here. So this paragraph here is good. However, you just want to be really clear. Are you saying that's a Conservative failure? Or are you challenging the statement in the question and saying that that is another factor? Probably tariff reform, you're going to argue that it was a Conservative failure, but you just need to make that really clear. So I think one major thing that we need to work on when you're doing your improvements to this essay is just use one of the Peel cards and make sure your Peel paragraphs are really strong. Maybe even highlight where your point is, where your evidence, where you're explaining, and then where your link is at the end of each paragraph, just whilst you're getting into the swing of it. The reduction in houses also made the nonconformists take their votes towards Liberals. The conditions overall were horrible when Conservatives were in power. Where in power, so again, just watch your grammar there. People now wanted a change and to see what the Liberals would do differently when it came to women, housing, health and education. Everyone wanted change. The nonconformists were one large group who were original Liberals but were now Conservatives, or Ireland, but because of all the Conservative changes, despite also much, they put their votes towards Liberal, which overall helped them with a landslide victory, despite of the Conservatives' mistakes. Again, just watch your grammar. Once you've proofread this, you're probably going to realise where you've made a few little rushed errors, so just fix your grammar when you're rewriting your essay. Despite of the Conservative mistakes, that's not the only thing that gave Liberals power. The Prime Minister had no political talent and was inconsiderate of people's sensitivity, which did not help the Conservatives win and also lose a seat. Is that seat there? So again, in this paragraph, you want to be specific. You need to say the Conservative Prime Minister Balfour. Be specific in your answer. And also, inconsiderate of people's sensitivity isn't probably the right way to word what Balfour did wrong. So let's have a look at Balfour's argument, Balfour's faults again together, so that again you can just give a bit more specific evidence in there. But I do like the start of this paragraph where you've said, despite the Conservatives' mistakes, that's not the only thing that gave Liberals power. That is suggesting, though, that this paragraph is not a Conservative mistake. But if you're saying that the Conservative leader Balfour wasn't very good at his job, that is a Conservative mistake. So again, you just want to sort of tighten up your argument there. In conclusion, the failures of the Conservatives has played a big part in the landslide victory, but there were also other areas of assessment. Probably wouldn't use the word assessment there. My rubber's not working, so I can't rub that out, sorry. That also play a part in order for the Liberals to have won a landslide victory. Okay, good. So, for me, I feel like your essay ended a little bit abruptly there. So, it sounded like you were on the way to making your final argument really clear. So you were on the way to saying sort of whether or not it was Conservative mistakes. However, it wasn't really clear in the end what your other reasons were. So a few things you might want to consider when you're making your changes is mentioning the first past the post system. Just saying there how the first past the post system also played a key part. So let's write that in. That could be a really good argument to challenge the actual statement in the question. You want to tighten up your arguments over the Education Act and the Licensing Act. And tighten up your area of Taft Fayal and Chinese slavery. One thing that you could also mention is the strong Liberal candidates, because that wasn't a Conservative mistake. So it just provides another argument against or challenging the question. So you could say, Lloyd George, Asquith and Churchill were campaigning and they were promising widespread social reforms. They promised to abolish the Education Act. So that was something that wasn't a Conservative mistake, but was something that helped their landslide victory. So looking now at the actual mark scheme itself, this is a generic mark scheme. So I'm going to highlight in green everything that you've met. So the question has not been properly understood. The response shows limited organisational skills. You're definitely not level 1. The answer is descriptive or partial, showing some awareness of the question, but a failure to grasp the full demands of the question. There will be some appropriate information showing some understanding about key issues, but the answer may be very limited in scope or contain inaccuracy or irrelevance. There will be some limited comment in relation to the question, and the statement for the most part will be unsupported and generalised. I think you're slightly above level 2. Your answer is descriptive and it is partial in parts. You don't go into enough detail. However, you do support a lot of your statements. So I would say you're level 3. So some understanding of the full demands of the question, but you need to work on your organisation. There is appropriate information showing an understanding of some of the key features. And there is some comment in relation to the question. So I'd say you're probably a solid level 3, Amanda. So altogether, you have achieved 13 out of 25. So that is, off the top of my head, around 52%. So that's a D. Well done, good effort. Now just spend some time making those changes.